Welcome. Again, my name is Dapelo-Garcia. I'm the founder of Lean In Latinas, Lean In Network. So we are a part of a global program of more than 100 Lean In networks across 41 countries. I'm really excited. I just came from a Lean In conference over the weekend. It was just so wonderful. And I think I have one of my Lean In sisters on here, Nuala, who is amazing. So I'm excited to host Lean In Latinas is Talking With on LinkedIn audio events. I'm really super excited that we have this functionality now within LinkedIn. Natalie Thomas is our guest speaker. A couple of things that I want to highlight about Natalie. She's the founder and director for the MarketHER group, content marketing and campaign strategist for We Heart Marketing. And then with all of that, she finds time to be a volunteer. She does have a Lean In circle that's called MarketHER, and she's a marketing partner for Lean In Latinas. So some of you may have been seeing the amazing marketing that we've been doing for our Take Charge conference. By the way, it is sold out. So Natalie did work with us on that. Beautiful images. Thank you for that. I'm going to kick this off with a couple of questions and conversation with Natalie, and then we want to include you by bringing people on stage with questions or comments that you might have. If you want to join the conversation, have a question, please feel free to raise your virtual hand, and then I'll sort of push all the buttons around here to bring you on stage. So some of you may have had an opportunity to take a look at Natalie's profile. It's very impressive, wonderful experience. And so, one of the first questions that I'm going to have for you, Natalie, is how did you get into the field of marketing? Like, where did all that start for you?
Good question. So for me, I'm a career changer. I actually went to school for fine arts and minored in creative writing. And ended up in theater, oddly enough.
Oh my goodness.
And then, just felt like I wanted to, come out of theater, regroup, figure out what I wanted to do. I ended up teaching at a visual performing arts high school. That was incredible. It was like Fame. You remember that show? So it's like that. It was really incredible. Ended up going from there to teaching in private schools to teaching in a university, and then decided I was ready to come out of teaching. And pursued graphic design. So I just started, building up my own graphic design business, and then decided, I wasn't that crazy about prospecting, and decided that I wanted to work for a company, landed somewhere where the title was actually graphic designer / marketing specialist. And within a year, the only other person in the department left that position. And I became, I got a chance to build my own marketing department, which was insane. So I'd had sort of management experience from teaching, and really was able to hone those leadership skills and building a team. I think at some points I maybe had like 5 or 6 employees working under me and a host of different vendors. It was really, really exciting. And I grew to absolutely love marketing, even more than graphic design.
Well, I'll try to pretend that I know a lot about both of those, but I don't.
No worries. I'm here to fill in the gaps.
I'm fascinated by people that I don't have an artistic flair whatsoever in anything I do. So I'm just always, curious about, and just seeing the work that you've done for our conference has just been amazing. And again, I can't say thanks enough for that. Yeah. So I mentioned it as part of your introduction that you're the founder of MarketHER. So tell us what is that? Why did you start it?
Okay. Absolutely. So at some point, what I realized, like as a manager, is that no one was telling me the full truth. I have all these people that sort of work under my direction, and they tell you some things, but not what you really need to hear in order to grow as a marketer. And same with a lot of the stakeholders, right? They're looking to you, not giving you a lot of the sort of content that would help you grow as a marketer. So I joined the American Marketing Association DC chapter, and my main interest was actually to engage with other marketers. So I joined the Mentorship program, which was a flourishing program. It was run by a wonderful woman, Angela Long. And I had an incredible mentor, Veronica Purvis. And so it was a 6-month program. At the end of that program, I just felt like, this needs to continue. So, really I built an advisory board out of that program. I developed a very strong ongoing relationship with Angela, the director of that program, and my mentor, who are advisors to MarketHER. But so in digging in deep and understanding like what it would take for me to grow, I pinpointed a few things, certainly mentorship, and networking as well. I guess I would say also doing a lot of research, reading a lot. I read the McKinsey & Company's report, Women in Marketing in 2021, which is done along with the Lean In Women's Network. So in that report, I came to understand like sort of what are some of the challenges and frustrations that women are facing. And I really felt like there's a lot that mentoring can do that would help women to empower themselves and overcome a lot of those frustrations and challenges. So I thought, why not build something? And the truth is, there are other programs out there, but ours just looks a little different. I think that for me, when I look at my friend group, my social life, it's so diverse, and that's one thing that is a differentiator of MarketHER. We're welcoming so many different people from all walks of life. I should say marketers and content creators and community builders from all walks of life to the MarketHER group. And that's how we got started.
Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about the name. I mean, I think it's you can sort of arrive to some conclusions about that, but just sort of what your thoughts were with that.
Yeah. So as I said, I really wanted to focus on the target audience of women in marketing. I really wanted to talk to, in a sense, myself, my younger self, my future self, and those who are have some of the challenges that I've had or similar. So MarketHER just sort of felt right, sounded right. I was glad I stumbled on it and went with it. And a lot of times, you'll hear me speaking, I'll say which she is thinking, or what she needs, or what she says. And so I'm always focused on the need of her, that woman in marketing, So it's very much about that. Like, it's just, how can we serve this community?
So do you, sort of building on that, do you see that as a catalyst for positive change in the marketing industry?
Yes, absolutely. I think that, there's a lot of women who come to marketing as career changers. There's a lot of space for growth with people who come from very, diverse backgrounds, but want to push forward in corporate America. And sometimes there's some gaps of sort of learning how to navigate those spaces. So there's a lot of ways that I think mentorship helps. So whether that's group mentorship or one-on-one mentorship, we just have so much that we can do to encourage each other, support each other. And I mean that through learning from each other's experiences. In the marketing, in our mentorship program, we operate under the method of appreciative inquiry. So it's very much about focusing on the positives, and it's very much about the individual working out for their self, how to overcome the challenges. And the rest of the group is really supporting, encouraging, adding, here and there, but really just allowing that person to work through the process, and we're all sort of learning together. So it's definitely a catalyst for, even those who may have, a lot of women in marketing have a side gig. and a lot of it is their own sort of marketing consulting or marketing business on the side, but there's other things as well, like podcasters and so forth. So maybe it's about how can I move to the next step as an entrepreneur, or how can I aim for that, what is the next step towards the CMO position, the chief marketing officer position that I want. So all of those things can be addressed in these mentorship programs.
Mm-hmm. And definitely, sort of as a follow-up to this, letting people know more about your mentorship program or how we get that out to people, I think that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you've been in this field for a while. So, what is a common myth about your job or the field of expertise that you're in, or myths maybe?
Good question. What are common myths? I think one thing that I tried to dispel is the idea that marketing has become sort of boring. I think that it can be like there are a lot of spaces where it can be very repetitive, but it's meant to be a creative field. I personally focus on content marketing, very heavily on content marketing, content strategy, and I think that as we know, content is king. It still is king. Or content strategy is king. So a lot of the marketers who can stay excited about what they do, then it still can be a very vibrant field. And it's different from maybe there's others that are more strictly communications, or there's so many different varieties of marketers, but there's definitely a lot of marketers who are still super passionate about what they do.
Mm-hmm. So I mentioned as part of your introduction that you have become involved with the Lean In organization as a circle leader. You've been working with us in Lean In Latinas as a marketing partner. So, given everything that you're doing, why would you want to volunteer in these areas? Like what was the catalyst for that?
Yeah. So I would say that, as far back as I can remember, Anna, I've always been sort of a community builder. I think it's just how I walk through life, just naturally. Where are the people? What do they want? How can I be a part of it? I just love, I love people. And so that kind of just leads me to build community. I've always been an organizer of just, through school, clubs and just wherever I saw there was a need for some sort of change, just always sort of been the kind of person that would jump in and be active rather than sit back and talk about what could be or what should be. It's like, let's look at the big picture here. Let's narrow down what needs to happen and let's move forward, right? So that's how I like to operate. And if I have the space for it, if I have the bandwidth for it, this is something that means a lot to me. To reach out to Latino women, to Indian women, Asian women, women from everywhere who are interested in marketing, I want them to know that they have this resource available to them. So absolutely, I'm going to reach in. I'm going to see how I can, support different groups, and certainly, the goal, of course, is to just let everybody know what's here, what it can offer, and build, continue building this vibrant community that can just continue to grow and support each other and make a difference in our industry.
well, you have, and thank you so much. We do appreciate everything that you're doing. And just to let folks know on the phone, I'm sitting on the West Coast, and Natalie is sitting on the East Coast. But even with that, we've been able to have a really great partnership. So I appreciate that. So just a little bit going back to sort of your marketing, in your opinion, what is the most important personality trait or strength someone would need to work in your industry? Let's consider maybe emerging professionals, somebody who is considering a marketing career. What do you think those strengths are to be successful, in your opinion?
Yeah, okay. In my opinion, I would start with project management. So we said to start with, right? So someone looking to grow. Let me speak from that. Someone looking to grow in the marketing industry is going to need very strong project management skills. So a marketer is in a department sometimes by themselves or with a team, and you are that team or that department is responsible for listening and understanding the product extremely well, the needs of the sales team, the needs of all of the stakeholders, the wants and desires of the customers, the potential customers. So knowing how to look at the big picture, assess the budgets, assess what, all of how all those things come together and strategize how to deliver to all of that takes an awful lot of skill sets or leadership skill sets. So the ability to analyze, the ability to, as I said, manage projects, see the big picture, think critically, think strategically. So there's so many of those leadership skills that will help someone grow from, marketing specialists towards marketing director level plus. So that would be, I put that all under leadership skills. So I'll call that one thing. And then I would say creativity. And the reason I say that is because you are always trying to figure out how to, for lack of a better way to put it, I'll say one up your competitors. So with that, you have to be very creative and very, very creative. To find and utilize all the ways that you can understand what your competitors are doing, why they're doing it, if you can improve upon it, what you can do to heighten the strengths of the company that you represent, and so forth. So it takes a lot of creativity, and of course, the customer always wants something new, something exciting. So how can you, how can you always be bringing something new to the customer is a constant, I would say, constant challenge that is a lot of fun. It was what really makes it exciting.
And so many additional tools that just seem to be popping up. And, just as somebody who isn't in this field, it's, even for me, it's like there just seems to be just so many choices in which you can market a product or market a service, or I'm just fascinated by it.
It is a fast-moving industry, absolutely. A lot of tools. Yeah.
So, is there a lesson that you've learned in your marketing career or your career in general that you would want to share with people? Sort of what have you learned along the way that you would say, hey, pay attention to this, especially maybe in marketing?
I think at this point in time, that main thing would be that no two paths need to be the same. You can carve out the marketing career that you want, but it takes a lot of information, a lot of knowledge to do that. And, so you need to network, you need to meet other people and find out what's worked for them so that so that you can avoid some of the pitfalls, so that you can get help seeing where your blind spots are. So it takes a lot of information, but, you can explore different types of marketing. You can, as I said, consider a side gig, which many do, or a passion project. So there's so many different ways to go with marketing that, you really can figure out a way to keep yourself doing what you love to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, this is going to be an interesting next question. So I'll just say that. Okay. Is there one thing about your job or your field of expertise that almost no one agrees with you about? Is there something that you really say, I feel strongly about this, and maybe others don't agree with me on this?
That is a complex question. Let me think. I can't say that I can think of any one thing like that. Like I said, at this point, I've always been the type of manager that listens a lot to my to those that I work with. And as I said, now, even to this day, I have besides MarketHER, I have a very thriving advisory board that we have a thread, it's just 4 of us, but we have a thread in LinkedIn, and I'll go in there. Someone will ask a question. I throw out what I think is the best solution. Somebody else might counter that with their thoughts. And I'm flexible. If I see logic, reason, sensibility in it, I'm all for it. So I'm always growing. I consider myself a lifelong learner. I love to grow. I love to learn. So I'm not unbendable on anything. So I really can't think of anything that it's like, nobody agrees with me on, somebody out there will agree.
Right. Right. So in your career, what is the most important lesson so far that you've learned in your career? And it could have been in sort of the beginning or any stage of your career that you would want to share with other people.
I would say especially for women in marketing or women in general, the need for self-growth, continuous self-growth. So as you build your career, it's not only the technical skills that you're developing, keeping up with technology, even just the networking. None of that is going to be enough for you to feel excited and happy with your work-life balance, or I use the word content with your work-life balance, if you're not cultivating the skill sets that help you cope with some of the day-to-day things, like let's say some of the unconscious biases that can make you feel really bad, in a space. Like when you find out that, who's making more money, if you're a Black woman and someone's, makes negative comments about your braids, even though they're neat and clean and look great to a lot of people. So some of those things can cut very deep, and they can stifle the relationship building with your colleagues, which can stifle, of course, that collaboration, and even can rob you of some of the peace that you have going into your place of employment. So that's some of the work that I would encourage the most. I think, I had hired a guy at some point. I went for a career coach, and I was thinking, hey, I need this. Why don't you, I need you to teach me how to deal with some of these personalities that I'm running into. Let me tell you about it, and you tell me what you think. And he did. He told me what he thought, and I thought, well, I'm not going to tell myself that this is not happening. Like if I've sensed some unconscious bias, there's no reason to tell myself it's not there. It's there, it's present. But his antidote to that was what I would equate. I always misquote a scripture. I always say kill them with kindness. And I think it's like heap fiery coals upon their heads. And so going with that, kill them with kindness, benefits me as well as them in the relationship in the company. So I hear it a lot when I'm social listening, when I'm in a lot of discussion groups, forums, even leaning groups. I just hear a lot of frustration, a lot of heavy hearts around some of the interactions that people are facing. And I think that what we can do is what is in our control is how we respond emotionally to a lot of that. And that's what I think if I were to go back 10 years, I would start working on that a lot sooner.
No, I love where you're going with that, because I heard something that really resonated with me, and has stuck for many years. And that's when, I'm trying to remember the source of where this came from, but it was not allowing your emotions to dictate what you're going to say or what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And I had to grow up for that. And, and there are times even today where I say, okay, am I saying this because is it my emotions speaking, or is it my emotions dictating what what I'm going to do. So and you're right on that one. It's really like trying to get in front of that. It's not easy.
Yeah. No.
It's not 100%.
Right.
But it, I think once you're cognizant about that, it does make a big difference.
Absolutely.
So, I'm going to kind of turn this into a little bit of more sort of a more fun area. So, knowing what you know, what advice would you give to your younger self?
So that was it. That's really my biggest one. To my younger self, I would have said, I've always been, driven to reach my potential as far as my career goes. I've always been driven to love what I do. I've always focused on, what it means to be, I think from the beginning, I kind of took a servant leadership approach. Now we kind of call that leading with empathy. So those things have always been really important to me, and to maximize creativity, but definitely that inward work. And I, I didn't have any trouble leading powerhouse teams that got along great and produce incredible work. But there's a lot. There's, in organizations, there's so many different personalities, and I often was the only woman in the room. I often was the only Black woman in the room. And so you have to figure out a lot in those spaces. Even that, when all the guys are in, I hope this is fun enough. You said you wanted to go in a fun way.
We can veer back and forth. It's okay.
It's all right. So it ends fun. I'll say that. So, but when you're in the room and you're not sure like what to do when all the guys are always talking about sports and you try to interject and your crickets are heard when when you're talking about gardening and theater. You have to learn to navigate that well. Like, how can I build these relationships? So it takes a lot of inner work. And that's what I would tell my younger self. And that's really a big essential part of what the MarketHER group does.
No, I love that you're doing that work. And, I would probably tell my younger self, just don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
In addition to sort of like really getting around, how you react to things. I think that's been a big one as well, that you mentioned. Yeah, so absolutely. As part of MarketHER, you have a mentoring program.
Yes.
And you mentioned a mentor. You don't need to mention this person by name unless it's up to you. But who was it? You could say, maybe it was a manager. You can name a name. Who was an important professional mentor and why?
So I gotta give it to. All right. Well, so at this point, I've had so many different mentors, but that very formal mentorship with Veronica Purvis was incredible. It's still we still bounce off of each other. We still have monthly calls where we really at this point it's definitely two ways. I think it became two ways somewhere within our formal mentorship within those 6 months. But there came a point where it's just like, hey, let's talk about I can talk to her about her dissertation that she's working on, or she's a CEO. She's working on her doctorate degree, and and we can talk about so many different things. We both are really still involved in the American Marketing Association as well, DEI, and supporting women in marketing. So there's so much there. And then I have another friend I made actually through the Lean In network ecosystem. Nice. So Charity Youngblood is, we soar, we energize each other, so at this point we're meeting once a week, and those meetings run the gamut, of all the things that are important to us and giving feedback to each other. She's been on this self-awareness journey for over 15 years now, so she has so much to share, and a podcast that I love listening to every time I jump in the car, life's questions and lessons or something like that. I'm sorry, it's on the web, it's on the MarketHER website, but that podcast gives me a little bit to think about every time I get it. It's a 5-minute podcast, so it's just a little snippet of like, hey, think about this, and this adds a little, journal about it, or however you process your journey, your self-awareness journey, and it just gives you a little bit to build on every day. So that's a mentor that has been such a generous. Both of these women, I would say, have been extremely generous in sharing of their knowledge and experience and their time. And, I couldn't be more appreciative to the both of them. And they I know Charity said that I'm her mentor, so we both say that about each other. So it's definitely a two-way thing. But lovely, very, very supportive relationships.
I love that you brought that up, because a colleague of mine sees me as her mentor, and she wrote a recommendation letter for me, and she mentioned me as a mentor, but she also said that she loved that as a mentee, she could mentor me as well. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so it was this reciprocal type of relationship. Absolutely. and I really appreciated her saying that.
Yeah. It's the best.
I think
it should be that way. Yeah.
It should be that way. And, for me, a mentor has been somebody that I could just be me.
Yeah.
Flaws and all.
Absolutely.
And still feel supported.
Yeah.
And to have diversity of mentors, gender diversity, race or ethnicity diversity, and generational diversity. I mean, I think that's really important, because, just different perspectives and thoughts. So, and with people here listening, is there anything that you would like to share more about your new MentorHER mentoring program?
So definitely I encourage everyone. I think, is this the point where I sort of talk about how people can learn more about MarketHER, or do we save that for later? Okay. All right. So definitely I would love for anyone who's in this industry of marketing, community building, or content creators, designers, go to the MarketHERgroup.com and learn about our mentorship programs. We are launching the next circle of leadership circles in the fall, as well as the She-Suite program. So the leadership circles are, of course, group mentoring, and the She-Suite is one-on-one mentoring. These programs are just, they are relaxed but highly productive. As I mentioned, we focus on the appreciative inquiry method of mentorship, of supporting each other to grow. So it's backed by science. It's time efficient. It's just 90 minutes once a month, and it's a small price to pay to gain those powerful insights for personal growth. So I encourage everyone to definitely check it out, or if you know anyone else who might be interested, please tell them about us. MarketHER is a wonderful place to be if you're a woman in marketing.
Thank you. So, some more personal questions that I have for you as we all get to know you more, Natalie. This might be an interesting question, only because I kind of reflect on my own experience with this. But how would your parents describe what you do?
I'm such a multifaceted person. Honestly, I don't think that my parents think about what I do that much in that regard. My parents, I'm an organizer. Like I said, I love building community. I build community in my family. It's like, when are we getting together? I keep a family daily thread going, and when are we get together? When's our next family trip? All of that stuff going. So they focus a lot on, that's where my family sort of focuses, and we kind of like support each other, and growing spiritually is a big thing for us. Nice. So they mostly focus their energy there and just want to know how I'm doing, what I'm enjoying, and when I'm gonna have fun with them. And that's mostly where we sit. But they're very proud of me, as long as I'm happy doing what I'm doing. right? So I started out as, oh, I'm going to pursue art. I'm going to be a painter. I don't care if I'm a starving artist. And my parents, gave in and supported that. I mean, my dad was, why not architecture? Why not that? But, they've supported me through all these different, some of the twists and turns that I decided to make. And as, love to see that I just prioritize, taking care of my well-being in a holistic way, and they're happy with that.
Yeah, I don't think my mom is now living with me, which is a whole new change in life.
Oh yeah, that is.
Yeah, she's 83 years old, and it's just at a time of her life. And it's been less than a year, so I've had to make some adjustments in my life. It feels like I'm a working mother again, which that's been a while. And she sees me sitting in front of this computer, and she just says, "Oh, you have so much talents. You could actually, have a really good job." And I thought, what makes her think I don't have a really good job? Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't even bother trying to explain what I do.
I get it. When I come to my parents' house, and they have guests, they're like, "Tell them where you just traveled." Like, that's kind of where they are. Or or call Natalie when you need a wedding program, a funeral program. Like, I still manage to find time to do those things as well. I kind of have a system now. It's like I can knock those things out. But that's. They're like every customer, like, how does it benefit me?
That's too funny. Well, it looks like we have a question. So Joshua, I'm going to, I think you had your hand up. Looks like I don't see it anymore.
Awesome.
So if anybody has any questions for Natalie, please. Oh, you do. All right. I'm going to put you on stage.
Awesome. Welcome, Joshua.
Can you hear us, Joshua? I think you're still on mute. If you might want to unmute.
Yes, I can hear you. Good to be with you both. Long-time fan, first-time listeners. Hey, I like the fact, Anna, that you are much like Martha, who's listening in the VIP down on the bottom, that you're an advocate for healthcare. But I have a question for you, Natalie. I'm curious, can you share, when it comes to marketing to B2B versus B2C, for example, what do you notice some of the differences? And over back to you.
Good question. I think, the way that I approach any marketing scenario is very individualized. As a digital marketing, as an owner of a digital marketing agency, every single customer is different. So I have to, I sort of have a system of, I guess what I do, of course, is just digging deep to understand that customer, digging deep to understand their customers, and then go through all of the possibilities or the best ways to market to that customer, as far as the channels, the marketing channels that are available, and considering the budget. What are differences? Budget. Usually the budget is one of the biggest differences, and there's so many similarities. It's all the same. Like, even when you're talking to from business to business, you're still understanding what that business's customers are. So in a sense, you're still marketing to the customer. Your whole goal there is to understand, of course, the industry that they're in, what their differentiators are from their competitors, and then what their potential customers or ideal customers' needs are, desires are, pain points are. So in either scenario, you're going to focus on the customer. And build from there. And the difference of how you build your marketing strategy relies a lot on the magnitude. So whether or not you can go super large, or if that budget will not allow you to do that. So it really, what the budget will allow to do are a lot of the differences that come into play in that scenario. Thank you for that question, Joshua.
Yeah, that thumbs up. All right. I don't know if anybody else has any other questions. So, all right, I'm going to ask you some heavy questions. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be? And I know it's kind of a heavy question to ask, but just curious what your answer would be to that.
If I could be remembered for one thing, it would be, it seems, okay, so it's just love, so I want, what flashes in my mind are just like, the faces of people that I want to know that I care about them. So how do I show kindness in this space and in that space? And how do I be supportive and encouraging? And how do I help people see their potential and encourage others to bring out the best? So oddly enough, it's not about a legacy of achievements in my career, but more so about the people that I have around me. I am absolutely, in love with so many of my friends, and I love spending time with them and love spending time with my family. That's absolutely what's most important to me. And even in the workplace, I think that, of course, I want to be respected for the caliber of work that I deliver, and the success of my marketing efforts and campaigns. But even more than that, how did I treat people? How did I help others grow? What did I bring to the company to, contribute to, an environment that is healthy? So that's what I like to be known for.
Yeah, thank you, Martha, for that. As I mentioned early on, you were or are a marketing partner to Latina and Latinas. So those of you who have seen our marketing campaign, thank you, Natalie, for that. And in fact, we're sold out. We're sold out on our conference coming up on August the 12th. And, again, thank you. So one last question, unless we have other questions for you. One of the last questions. So we've learned a lot about your marketing experience, your pearls of wisdom, as one would say, in your field. You live on the East Coast. Mm-hmm. So what do you like to do for fun?
I love that question. Because that's really the connector in so many spaces. So I still have a passion for theater. I have an extreme passion for theater. So it's so lovely to live, right here near Washington, D.C. I can jump over to the Kennedy Center, and I was just, revving up some friends this morning to go see the production of Moulin Rouge, and maybe 2 weeks ago I was at the Lion King, and I have a few girlfriends that would bounce with me up to New York and see a show there and take it. We love fine dining, so just take in a couple of restaurants. Like we might plan 3 restaurants, a breakfast, lunch, and dinner restaurant while we're there. So just trying to try all of the spots that we read about. And I've gotten to see so many beautiful things. I always say that, when it comes to marketing, I feel like I do marketing like my brothers used to play video games when they were teenagers. Like I just get in there and all excited. And I'm the same way about theater. It's like the way that they are when they're watching football now. Like I am vicariously living through not only the actors, the orchestra, and the set producers. So that stuff gets me. That gets me in my zone. And then of course traveling. So I just love to travel and learn about different cultures and see beautiful things. And that's how I live my life.
Well, given what you shared with us about theater, I think that would probably be, if you weren't doing marketing, you'd probably be doing something in the arts or in theater.
Absolutely. I might still get a chance. Who knows?
Oh, well, I don't see, unless anybody has any questions, I don't see any hands going up or virtual hands going up. No.
Mm.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Natalie,
Thank
for
you.
being on Lean and Latinas is Talking with. We are excited to bring the light, shine the light on people who are making a difference, and you're definitely one of those people. And I think there's just so much that we can learn from each other, and so much great work that you're doing, that we couldn't help but want to feature you. So thank you, everybody, for listening in, and thank you for joining us. Any last words that you want to say, Natalie, to everybody?
Oh, I do see. I thank you so much, David. Thank you so much, Yolanda and Martha. Thank all of you all for coming out. Deeply appreciate this time with you, Anna. It's a pleasure and it's a joy to work with Lean and Latinas. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, you're going to be stuck with us for a while.
I love it. Sounds good to me.
Well, thank you, everybody, for listening in. We're going to go ahead and end our conversation,
Okay.
and we'll talk to you later in a future Lean and Latinas is Talking with audio event. Thank you.
Have a great night. Have a great rest of your week, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.